To be sure you never miss a Tech Ninja video, tap on the bell icon right next to subscribe. OnePlus first came to the market in 2014 as the OnePlus One. It was an invite-only phone that had a ton of buzz around it, mainly because a very aggressive price tag at $300, and OnePlus also called itself the flagship killer. A lot has changed in the market, and also with OnePlus. No longer is the phone $300, it's now inching towards $600. And OnePlus is still seen as a major player for enthusiasts. I'm Kevin the Tech Ninja, and here's how I feel after 1 week with the OnePlus 6. Let's get this out of the way. I really like the OnePlus 6. It is not just a good phone, it's a great phone. I've been using it as a daily driver for a week, and typically when I do, I always have this one thing that I wish it had or did better. But there isn't really that one thing. Is it perfect? Definitely not. Is the camera as good as my Pixel? No. And the bottom single speaker has a lot to be desired. But what OnePlus delivers is a balanced, simple, yet customizable experience. Let's begin with the in-hand experience. In the hand, one thing you'll notice is that OnePlus is just very balanced. Ergonomically, it just feels fantastic. It looks more expensive than its price tag. It can compare directly to Samsung and Apple right down to the glass back. OnePlus swapped out the metal backing for glass. Typically with glass, you lose some of the ruggedness, and also that metal looks cleaner. With glass, you gain fingerprints and scratches, and you're also one drop away from having a major issue on your hands. But with glass, you can get a new feature, and that's wireless charging. However, OnePlus didn't add that new feature, and in my opinion, it's a big miss. As the world is starting to see the convenience and benefits to wireless charging, OnePlus opted not to add it. But if glass doesn't tickle your fancy, OnePlus gives you an option to add different backings, from a ballistic material to a classic sandstone. I didn't get any of these add-ons, however, OnePlus accessories are always top-notch, and I may be picking up the sandstone too. But for a cheaper option and a better looking one at that, check out D-Brand. Not just because they're my sponsor, but these skins look great, especially the black dragon, or you can get the red dragon or even the camo as I have on my S9. Regardless, a great way to spice things up is picking up a D-Brand skin, and those links are listed down below. OnePlus does have some tricks up its sleeve, and that's dash charging. It's the fastest way to charge any phone, and it can take a phone from 0 to 60 in 30 minutes. Just plug in the included charger into the USB port that's nestled right next to the headphone jack, and you're good to go. You combine that with a 3300 milliamp battery, and you'll find yourself with amazing battery life. As I always say, battery life is very subjective, and typically I leave very specific numbers out. And in my usage, I can comfortably say that I use my phone all day, and I don't have to worry about battery life at all, and I'm getting several hours of screen on time too. But once again, I can just plug it in for a few minutes and get a lot more battery life. And I can compare this directly to the S9, and it's a lot more than what I'm getting on my iPhone 10. Now, since we're discussing the 10, we should carve out this whole notch thing. Yes, the OnePlus 6 has a notch, and that's this little black dip you see here. Inside the notch, you have several things like your camera and different sensors. Now, I don't mind the notch, and OnePlus does a great job at not exaggerating it, but very rarely you'll see it going around an image or something's behind the notch, but most of the time it stays out of the way. However, if you tend to keep a notification area full of icons like I do, then you'll find that area crowded quickly. If you don't care about the notch, then there's a quick setting change, and it can make that whole area black so you have a regular looking display that supplements the notch. That display is very good. AMOLED at 6.2 inches. The aspect ratio is 19:9, and it does have a 1080p display, which to me is not a big deal. But for people who consume most of their media on their mobile device and they want to watch the highest resolution videos possible, then they should look elsewhere. With the lower resolution, you get better battery life and performance, so for me, it's an even trade-off. And it's not all about resolution, it's about pixel quality and screen quality too. The saturations level look really great, and to me, it's just a very poppy display. The software is running is Android 8.1 Oreo, and it has the fast and customizable Oxygen OS on board. OnePlus does a great job of updating their phones with Oxygen OS and also Android, and that's a highlight for OnePlus and a feature to consider when taking a look at their devices. A few more odds and ends is that the OnePlus also has a dual SIM card slot, a fingerprint sensor located on the back of the phone, which is where it should be at, and also it does face to unlock. Both are extremely fast to get into your phone, but in 2018, this is expected by now. On the performance side of things, OnePlus is a super fast phone, and the unit I'm reviewing has 8GB of RAM, but after using a 6GB variant previously, you should expect more of the same. Snappy performance with no hitches or lags at all. The OnePlus add-ons like screenshot stitching and the ability to use third-party icons on their launcher and a native dark theme leaves you with a great taste in your mouth. And it gives you that feeling that you're using a well-polished ROM from back in the day. On the camera side of things, OnePlus has made major strides to getting a better camera, and for what I'm seeing, we're not quite there yet. OnePlus gives you a 16 megapixel and a 20 megapixel shooter at f1.7 aperture. Camera specs are pretty amazing, but software optimization leaves you with saturated photo and it misses to nail color accuracy. Feels like a Samsung, which isn't a bad thing by any means. For photographers or someone looking to edit and work on photos, this definitely is not the camera. But for snapping for social media, this is really good. 60 frames per second at 4K is an amazing feat, number one, but it does suffer from oversaturation. Overall though, it still looks good and it's a welcome addition to the camera suite. There are additional camera modes and I'll get into that in the full review, but one thing I am mentioning is that the front-facing camera tends to soften the skin, lighten the skin a little bit, and leaves you with a somewhat unnatural photo. Overall, after a week, it's shaping up to be one of the best phones of 2018 so far. I know there are plenty of phones out there, but once you consider the price tag and it being $300 to $400 cheaper than other flagships, then you'll find yourself really appreciating this phone and everything it provides for you. Perfect? No. But a darn good phone? Yes. I'll be back next month to really dive in. But until then, I'm Kevin the Tech Ninja, and we'll chat later.